Hey y'all. So the other day, KallMeKris dropped a video where she explained some severe harassment that she's been receiving from the vegan teacher. And now, Kris has clearly expressed that she does not want anyone directly interacting with the vegan teacher in any regard related to this. However, the absolute worst of the vegan teacher's offenses had to be reduced to a 10-second or so clip in Kris's video, because if she had properly talked about how horrible that was, her video would have been demonetized. And I personally happen to have the extreme privilege of not caring at all whether or not my YouTube channel can ever be monetized. So please allow me to express myself as KallMeKris's anger translator on this subject. So in the very short clip that KallMeKris showed, the vegan teacher used a clip where Kris talked, okay, it had to have been much longer than 10 seconds, I'm sorry. But the vegan teacher used a clip where Kris talked about her personal survivor trauma experience. And the vegan teacher used that clip as a comparison to artificial insemination in cattle. And that clip told me two very important things about the vegan teacher. One, she herself is in the minority of women who have not experienced that trauma. And two, she has never actually seen artificial insemination done in real life. So to address the first and most important part, no survivor would ever use another survivor's trauma as a weapon against them. The vegan teacher wants people to have empathy for animals, but in this action, she herself clearly demonstrates that she is not capable of empathy. I personally have experienced many horrible things in my life, but I get far more angry when they happen to people that I actually care about. And here's the thing about those of us who watch YouTube as our primary source of entertainment. We do so because we become emotionally invested in our creators. This is a platform space for collaboration. we do not abuse one another. Capiche? And on the second front, I personally actually grew up on a small family beef farm here in Wisconsin. When you actually know your cattle, you can read their emotions just fine. I grew up on the type of farm that you would tell your children as a fairy tale about to make them feel better about eating their meat. We bottle fed those babies, we scritched their ears, they would come running up to me in the pasture, and we hand fed them apples. They lived long enough to learn what snow was, and they were sent to the butcher before they learned how bitterly, painfully cold it can be. These were properly free-range, pastured, organic cattle, though we could never actually afford the certification. Any farm that is small enough to be doing your proper ethics is too small to actually afford an organic grant certification. Like, there is a category that is slightly discounted for small farms, but Dad and I talked about it, and it was never going to work out for us. But back to the insemination part. Yes, they do get locked into a hold of, I can't remember what we called it. It's not like we ever really referred to it by anything. But that was there for the vet's protection. In terms of actual discomfort, it was absolutely no different of an experience for the cow than when we have to do a pap smear. Comparing that action to rape is entirely out of line. You never see farm kids become vegans because farm kids, when they get the family farm experience, family farms don't have the ethical atrocities that industrialized agriculture does. And the reason why most of the food in our country is no longer ethical is because the family farm is almost nearly extinct. It's common enough still here in Wisconsin for me personally to find ethically sourced food. But in most places, if you aren't growing your own food, it's not ethical. Vegans like to tell themselves that plants aren't sentient so that they have something that they can eat and not feel guilty about. But the very much truth of the matter is that any time any animal eats, it results in the death of something. That's the real original sin. You cannot exist as an animal without eating, and every time you eat, something dies. Slime molds have demonstrable intelligence. You know that delightful smell of freshly cut grass? That is a chemical released by the grass to warn its neighbors that it has been attacked by a predator. Now take a moment and think carefully through what that means. In order for that to happen, that blade of grass needs to be able to sense that it has been harmed. And without exception, when that exists in the animal kingdom, we refer to that as pain. It then needs to be able to create its own response to that pain. The nearby grasses need to have a way of detecting that communication. And if there wasn't something they were doing as an action in response to that signal, it would not exist. I have not personally seen in that paper if they figured out what the grass was doing in response. Most likely it was closing pores on its roots in order to minimize the amount of water that it loses when it is bitten, which is very similar to animal coagulation. There is no scientific proof that plants are sentient, but our current knowledge and understanding of what sentience is elitist conjecture at best. The vegan teacher likes to challenge people. Would you eat your pet? I would not kill Ginger Snap to eat her. But if I was homeless and she got hit by a car, I would eat her. And I'd be incredibly stupid not to. Most vegans are incredibly privileged. I tried it for a while. It was a little bit over a year. Because I moved in with my now ex-husband and his vegan brother and our friend, and we lived together for a year. So during that year, it was easy to at least acquire vegan foods because the brother was trying very hard to convert us. And we kind of tried keeping it up after a while afterwards, but I kept having blood sugar crashes at work because I couldn't eat enough calories in vegan food to sustain my activities in between work breaks. I kept having to eat candy instead. And both my primary physician and my chiropractor were concerned about muscle loss from low protein. Now, personally, that's because my body does not absorb nutrients worth shit. Even eating meat, I have bizarrely low protein levels. But 80% of people who try to become vegan can't do it and give up after a year. There is an official published paper on that subject. I'm not going to find it for you because I cannot be bothered. The only thing you're getting is a link to Chris's video in the description. And you should watch it because her words matter. I think I lost my train of thought, but I think it made it to the station. So we're gonna leave this here, and I hope y'all have a great day. Thank you so much for